Welcome to KSAU Master Talk. Imagine if you could create any material you want or even invent a new one by building them one particle at a time. That's exactly what Prof. Chad Meyerkin has been doing, and his work is transforming research, healthcare, and technology. Professor Meyerkin has received many prestigious awards, including King Faisal Award in 2023. We are thrilled to have Prof. Meyerkin with us today to talk about his journey and what the future holds for this research. Prof. Meyerkin, welcome to the first episode of KSAU Master Talk.
It's great to be here, Dr. Nadine.
Thank you. You initially planned to study chemistry as a pathway to medical school. What inspired you to shift your focus and make chemistry your primary interest field instead?
Well, look, life is about experiences. That's why, I tell all my students, get involved, get in the game, find out not just what you like, but what you don't like. And that was the case for me. So I started out as a young college student pursuing really what my mother wanted me to be, which was to be a medical doctor. And then I realized as I got deeper into it and began to experience some of the things that doctors do, while I really respect it, it's not what I wanted to do for my life's pursuit. And I kind of had a crisis my junior year and decided I'm not going to go this path. Maybe I ought to explore science, chemistry in particular, and began to get involved in research experiences at other types of colleges, places like Penn State. And that quickly inspired me to really think about pursuing a career in chemistry. And I entered the PhD program first at Penn State and then moved on to a postdoctoral fellowship at MIT. And I never really looked back, including during my days at Northwestern University as a professor.
That's great. Thank you for sharing this insight. Speaking of significant milestone in your career, you are the winner of prestigious King Faisal Award in Science. This award is known for honoring individual who has made outstanding contribution that significantly impact society and advance knowledge. Could you share with us what this recognition means to you personally and how it did influence your research?
Well, first, it was incredible validation. And when you win something like that, it's the pinnacle, right? It's the top. And to be recognized with that award, knowing the people that have won it in the past, was an incredible honor, but also a validation of all the work that we're doing, all the work that my students and postdocs are doing. It's really a team type of effort. So I kind of represent the team. And I think it was just a really big shot in the arm that said, hey, what you guys have been doing is really important. The world recognizes it. Keep doing it. And we do. Awards are great. I think they're important because they shine a spotlight on certain areas and certain people and their accomplishments. But I always tell the students and postdocs, don't get too caught up in them. Put it on the shelf and keep going down the path that really got us there in the first place, which is to discover new ways of tracking and treating disease.
That's incredible. Winning such a prestigious award, it's remarkable. Now, turning on our focus to the fantastic world of nanotechnology. What first attracted you to nanotechnology and what keep you interested after all of these years?
Well, I was the right place at the right time. So I worked for a professor at MIT, a guy named Mark Wrighton, who was really one of the pioneers in what I call the field of miniaturization. But it wasn't nanotech, it was really microtech. He realized that if you made the systems small in chemistry, they behave differently. He just didn't have access to a lot of the tools that were coming online when I started my career. Things like scanning tunneling microscopes and atomic force microscopes that allowed you to think about miniaturizing things down to the scale where size really matters. And what I love about nanotechnology is that a fundamental tenet in nanotechnology is that everything when miniaturized is different. everything that is assembled from smaller components to the larger nanometer length scale. Chemists are not nanotechnologists, they're angstrom technologists.
True.
Right? Biologists are really nanotechnologists, and at least they work on the nanometer length scale. And being able to take small components and reassemble them to that larger nanometer length scale leads to structures with new properties. So if you take a bulk material and shrink it down, or you take small components and reassemble them, you will get materials that have new properties. New properties mean new science. New science means new technology. And that's kind of been my mantra from day one.
So it would be fair if I said that your work involved manipulating those large molecular into small scales to discover a new property and new uses?
That's correct. I mean, I put my chemistry to good work to effectively be an architect on the smallest of length scales.
It's amazing to hear about your passion for nanotechnology. For those of us who are not familiar with nanotechnology, what is it in a simple way, and what does it work?
Well, so nanotechnology is about three things. First, the development of the tools that allow you to miniaturize. If you don't have the tools, you can't study nanotechnology. So how do you make structures on this very tiny length scale? The second part of it is figuring out the consequences of miniaturization. Everything is different when miniaturized in this length scale. Figuring out why things are different is a big part of the field as well. And then the third part of nanotechnology is how do I take those differences and create new technologies that impact the world in a significant way? New types of medicines, new materials that can harvest solar energy, new materials that can clean water. Materials drive almost everything that we rely on.
Yeah.
Being able to make new materials simply through miniaturization creates an incredible opportunity for scientists and engineers to discover the things that really matter in the decades that follow.
Given the potential of nanotechnology, I'm very curious to know how all this research has been applied in a real-world medical setting. Can you give us an example?
Well, look to the COVID vaccines.
Exactly.
That's I think, one of the greatest examples. If you look just a couple of decades ago, all of our drugs were small molecules. Today, if you look at the top 10 drugs, there are very few small molecules on that list. Most of them are large biologics, oligonucleotides, meaning short snippets of DNA or RNA, peptides or proteins, antibodies, for example. But the top drugs right now are actually nanomaterials, nanoconstructs. These are lipid constructs, fat globules that basically encase mRNA that can be used as medicines. And they're the basis for the COVID vaccines, and they're going to be the basis for many medicines that follow. To me, though, those are the crudest examples of nanomedicines. There's an age coming, I think, very soon, where we begin to put together the different types of components that we define as medicines in ways that lead to constructs that allow you to deliver multiple medical entities to single cells to bring about the type of result that you want in terms of treating disease.
Great. The real-world applications are very clear. Looking ahead, nanotechnology seems to be a great potential. How do you see it transforming medicine in the near future?
I think it's going to transform almost every aspect of medicine. It's going to transform, first and foremost, how we study disease, how we figure out why certain diseases occur. Second, it's going to create new ways of how we track disease, how we create probes that allow you to measure the presence of different markers that are associated with disease. The more capabilities that we get in that regard, the better off we're going to be in terms of tracking current diseases and new diseases that we identify. And then finally, this idea of creating structural nanomedicines where we can begin to take multiple components and put them together on the nanoscale into well-defined constructs that have been finely tuned and designed to create very efficacious drugs is going to transform the way diseases are treated.
We wish for that, definitely. The future of medicine sounds exciting with these advancements. Considering your visit here to KSAU today, your visit offers a significant opportunity to explore potential collaboration that could influence nanotechnology field. How can we work together to create impactful outcome?
Look, we are going to work together in a big way. We have grand plans. His Excellency Dr. Bander and I and a few others from the U.S. are putting together a major center of excellence that is going to focus on using nanomedicines to really impact the tracking and treatment of disease. We are about to execute on that center, and I think it's going to create international focus and create a lot of collaborative opportunities between scientists in the U.S., scientists at Northwestern, and scientists here at KMARC, so that we can begin to really make some significant inroads in tracking and treating disease in new ways.
I'm very glad and proud to hear that. The collaboration is a very important thing, I think, always between all the institutions. In addition to your research, I understand you have been teaching involved in education and monitoring young scientists. What was your experience in this?
I love teaching. I think teaching is a big part of being a really good scientist. I used to hear when I was younger that the best researchers aren't very good teachers. That's not true.
That's
I think the best researchers are the best teachers because they have context. They have the ability to share experiences that go beyond other folks. And so I thought it was very important to, one, be able to teach and teach well. So I think I value communication and try to pass that on to my students and postdocs. But I also chose to teach general chemistry, which was the biggest class at Northwestern for 30 years. So that I'd be in front of the freshmen, in front of the biggest classes, and be able to impact the largest number of people and hopefully excite them to pursue careers in science. So I've really enjoyed it. I always say that you don't really know a field until you can teach a field. I truly believe that's true. And I think anybody who's taught at a high level knows that every time you teach a course, you learn something. You become better at your field. So I really embrace the opportunities to teach.
I totally agree. As a teacher and scientist, I totally agree with you. Dr. Meyerkin, your journey is truly inspiring. Inspired everyone heard today, heard your seminar. As we wrapped up, what advice would you give to the young scientists?
To who?
To the young scientists.
Oh, look, to me, I've been consistent from beginning to end. Pursue what you like. You might not make the most money, but you'll make enough money and you really enjoy what you do. And if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I've gone to work every day of my life. I've never thought about it as work. I thought about it as an opportunity, something that I really, really enjoy. I kind of think of it as just one big game that I'm playing. And I get a lot of pleasure out of playing the game and opening new doors and discovering new things and asking what's the next door that I can open.
Thank you, Dr. Meyerkin, for sharing your incredible story with us today. And to our audience, thank you for joining us on this episode of KSAU Master Talk. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversation with the brightest mind in the science and technology. Until next time, continue to stay with us as we push boundaries and pioneering the future of health sciences.